by building cell structures of integrity. We gave the 18th June, last Friday, as the deadline for cell restructuring. We directed that the period 19th June to 27th June be devoted to data capturing and that this be done at the cost and expense of the respective DCCs. Data that's captured, and I'm very happy with the information I'm receiving, that process and that exercise is going on well. When we said it was going to be at the expense of the DCCs, everybody was wondering whether this would be possible. But it is happening at their expense and cost. The data that's captured will be relayed to party headquarters through the respective provincial structures. And we are going to be in the process of making sure that our technology in terms of communication between us and provinces is established so that that information can be conveyed easily. Thereafter, we will conduct a random audit and verification of the cells, and this will commence starting with those DCCs which have complied with earlier directives. Under the realization that the fight against neo-colonialism, imperialism and hegemonism can only be won through unity and broad-based collective effort, with all shoulders to the wheel, the Commissariat Department is invoking and operationalizing the provisions of our Constitution, Article 3, Paragraph 16, Subparagraph 2 of the ZANU-PF Constitution. And we are hereby calling upon any organization, association or society in the farming, mining, tourism, manufacturing, religious and all other sectors of our society, and whose members are citizens or residents of Zimbabwe, and whose aims and objectives are not inconsistent with those of the ZANU-PF Constitution. We are calling upon these associations to apply for affiliate membership of the party. The application for affiliate membership may be addressed to the Secretary for Administration and submitted via the Department of the Commissariat. It must be accompanied by the following documentation: a certified copy of the organization's constitution, a list of members of the governing body of the organization, together with details of their IDs, residential addresses, telephone numbers, and email addresses, if any. A register of the organization's membership. Upon acceptance as an affiliate member of ZANU-PF, the organization shall be required to pay a joining fee and annual subscription, and shall be prescribed from time to time. So we are going to open up in the Commissariat Department a register of our organizations which are affiliated to ZANU-PF. The Commissariat Department is agitating for amendment of the party constitution in two respects. Firstly, we are seeking to introduce a new class of membership. Call it, for now, inactive membership. That is membership that does not want or aspire to hold positions or participate in the day-to-day activities of the party, but support and stand in solidarity with the ZANU-PF. This idea, if approved by our Politburo and subsequently by the Central Committee, is not original. We seek to borrow it from the Constitution of the ANC of South Africa. Secondly, we are also seeking to organize our membership of Zimbabweans in the diaspora in this manner. Each country, without regard to size, will constitute a ZANU-PF party district. and will have branches in various locations of that country. For instance, when Comrade Matema Danda is going to Mozambique, there will be a Mozambique party district. And branches may be people who are in Beira, who are in up north, who are in Tete. That's how we are proposing to organize our membership in the diaspora as we go forward. Details of membership to constitute the country's party districts and branches, executive structures will be made known after the amendment is approved. What we are saying is that we may find that the positions in the external party districts may not necessarily need to be the same as the local party districts. Tentative ideas on the table are to recruit diaspora membership online from the ZANU-PF headquarters. I want to take this opportunity of this press conference to introduce to you a new word as journalists which you should know as we go forward. The word is juggernaut, spelled Juggernaut, juggernaut. That's how it's pronounced. And it comes from the Hindi Jagannath. What ZANU-PF wants you to know, free of charge, is that the President and First Secretary of ZANU-PF, Comrade E.T. Mnangagwa, has been, since assuming the high office in the Second Republic, and under our very eyes, taken head-on the transformation of our economy in a manner none of us believed to be possible in such a short time. The direction is very clear. The positive direction is very clear. I shall have occasions in the future to give blow by blow the achievements so far attained in all sectors of the country's economy. His Excellency's achievements have transformed ZANU-PF into a juggernaut political machine, steamrolling and unstoppable towards electoral victory in 2023. It is on the strength of these achievements that ZANU-PF has, through many conference resolutions, resolved that Comrade E.T. Mnangagwa is our sole presidential candidate come the 2023 harmonized elections. Comrade E.T. Mnangagwa must continue and complete the good work that started from the commencement of the new dispensation. All indications point to the fact that ZANU-PF's political campaign to win the 2023 presidential and legislative harmonized elections is powerful, overwhelming, dominant, and unstoppable. The Revolutionary Party is geared to fulfill its revolutionary mandate and through the sanctions seekers, the anti-people political charlatans, the anti-land redistribution counter-revolutionaries into the dustbin of history. National sovereignty is not negotiable. ZANU-PF is and will remain a people-centered and party and embedded in all society. That is the historical reality, and that is ZANU-PF's political advantage. And we make no apologies for this to anyone. So to our President, Comrade E.T. Mnangagwa, we say, remain strong, steadfast, and do not flinch. I also take the opportunity of this, my first press conference in my acting capacity, to make reference to the specifically targeted propaganda against Zimbabwe and Zimbabweans in SADC, for example, via hostile broadcasts like the Voice of America's Studio 7. ZANU-PF views these hostile broadcasts in the same light as illegal sanctions, an illegitimate and unwarranted interference in our country's domestic affairs. And we take these hostile broadcasts as part of the illegal arsenal for regime change. We will resist these machinations as we have successfully done since 2000. Finally, I cannot conclude this presser without denouncing the concerted and orchestrated destabilization of the state of government via sponsored interventions which have become a menace. Foreign funding by foreign intelligence services of opposition political parties, non-governmental organizations which are anything but civil. As you know, Zimbabwe has a record. We have something like 3,500 NGOs in this country. None of them, very few of them, helping to contribute to the economic development of the country. Very few of them helping to build schools, clinics, to give livelihoods to our people through irrigation schemes, building roads. All of them are basically employed to achieve regime change in Zimbabwe. And we condemn it. And they are clearly calculated to undermine the orderly evolution of our political, economic, and judicial systems, and must be condemned in the strongest possible terms. It is Zimbabwe's sovereign right to have a peaceful, uninterrupted development. To my colleague, Comrade Matema Danda, we say congratulations on your appointment as ambassador to the Sister Republic of Mozambique. It is a great honor for you to be asked to represent your country. Once you cross the border, if you didn't know, you are no longer Matema Danda. You are now Your Excellency, sir. So it is a great honor. Farewell to you. Thank you very much.
We would like to thank the leadership for the talking points and for granting us this privilege to have the press briefing. As you ask your questions, please tell us your name and the state from which you are coming from. Now it's question and answer time. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Blessed Mhlanga from Heart and Soul TV and Radio and Newsday. I just wanted to know what you're going to do with the NGOs that you allege are receiving funding to stabilize the country. And the second question is, can you clearly explain your relationship with the army? In your opening remarks, you noted the serious relationship between the wing of the military. Can you clearly explain that relationship? And lastly, how are you conducting your DCC exercises in light of the COVID-19 restrictions? Thank you.
Any more questions?
Sylvester Tafumane, Sly Media TV. Sly Media, SLY. Yes.
You know what it means to Sly?
Yes, you can ask us questions as well.
Thank you.
I see you in your press statement, you are talking about consolidating your support base in the diaspora, which I think maybe is a good move towards the diaspora vote. If you need to consolidate the party structures outside Zimbabwe, what are your fears on the diaspora postal vote? Thank you.
Let me answer those first. And let me start with the diaspora. We are organizing, we are consolidating our membership of the diaspora so that they become part and parcel of Zimbabwe's economic development. We have many people, Zimbabweans in the diaspora, who have built enormous skills in various sectors: professional, medical, engineering, investment, financing. We want to call upon the Zimbabweans that they must look back home and make their contribution to the economic development of this country. At the moment, we are not talking about them voting, because as you know, once we talk about voting as of now, it cannot be possible because the political field is not level. I can't go to campaign in the UK because of sanctions. We all know that. My colleagues here are all under sanctions. Now, as long as that situation persists and continues, we will say no vote to people in the diaspora. Because then we are allowing only those who have been asking for sanctions to have access to that electorate if they are voting. That, of course, is not acceptable, and we will not allow that. Sanctions must fall. Then you can start talking about what you've spoken about. We can start talking about now, can we give the people in the diaspora the right to vote? Under the circumstances where we know we can send anyone from our party to go and meet our membership there in the campaign without having to be told this person cannot come because that person is under sanctions. So I want to make that very clear. Then the blessing NGOs, we are at the moment just understanding what they are doing, and if we clearly see that they are on a regime change agenda, ours will be to request their registration. Clearly that is our responsibility as a country. We cannot allow internally in organizations which we register under our legislation to subvert the sovereignty and integrity of Zimbabwe and its independence. So clearly we will ask for de-registration. And so if they continue to act, then of course we know they are now acting outside the law. And that will be other issues. Relationship between the army and Zipra and Zab. I thought you knew. Do I need to explain? It speaks for itself. Who are the commanders of your army? Who is the CDF? Comrade Valerio Sibanda. Who was he? A leading general in Zipra. Who is the commander of the National Army? Comrade Shimon. Who was he? A leading commander in Zambia. Now, that culture of defending the sovereignty of this country will continue. It comes from the liberation struggle, those were the armies, and it will be perpetuated into the future. That is the link. If you didn't know it, that the army is composed of former veterans of the liberation struggle, who, when they retire, will live a spirit of defending this country, its sovereignty, its interests. At some point, of course, they will retire. Comrade Rugejo also was there. Theirs is to defend the interests of Zimbabwe, the sovereignty of Zimbabwe. So that is the link. Any further questions? No, he wants to add something.
Yeah, on the diaspora vote, I think you want to remember that this constitution is a culmination of an exercise that was done in 2018. And the constitution, so crafted in 2013, gave this provision of non-diaspora votes. So, just to add on what is said, we also need to amend the constitution because it's a constitutional provision that no one can vote if they are not based at the constituents or polling stations that they are supposed to vote. So you see, it is this constitution that wants us to, our vote to be polling station based. And you don't have a polling station in Maputo. You don't have a polling station in wherever. So the best thing at the moment, and this is not a ZANU-PF constitution, people should understand, it is a national constitution that all crafted kuti vazoti toda kuti ive constituency, I mean polling station based, vamwe vanga vachiti kana tisina kudaro tinobirwa, ende zveshe hatisi kubirwa tese. Saka kuti tacheme izvi kana tada kuti vaya vatakamborambidza vachizovhota todzokera kuna amenda chi constitution yatakaisa tese. So ndangoti ndiwedzere kuti pane zvavataura tisakanganwa kuti tese vanhu vari pano vese ndofuda vakaparticipate ndo zvamakataura kuti kana munhu akangovhota choro ari kwaari tobirwa ngatinovhoterai papolling station ndo patiri.
And what he is saying is just to reinforce this point. Those in the diaspora, if they want to vote under present constitutional arrangements, then they must register at a polling station. And they can travel at their own expense to come and vote. And in fact, we do have those who are resident in South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, neighbors, they come back home to vote at any time of the elections. But there will be no postal voting, there will be no going there to set up polling stations there until, as he says, the constitution is amended.
You have the majority in parliament, and you spoke about the diaspora vote not being enshrined in the constitution. Since you have the majority in parliament, if you have confidence with your support base in the diaspora, would you, with your majority, foster for the change of the constitution to accommodate the diaspora postal vote?
I think you didn't hear what I said. When you are going to an election, you must have the right to canvass for support among those who want to vote for you. ZANU-PF is denied that right in countries which impose sanctions, especially in Europe and UK. So for that reason, we cannot allow a diaspora vote done outside. They can come and vote here, but not for us to go and set up polling stations there. For precisely the reason that we cannot have a situation where some of our colleagues who are under sanctions are not allowed to enter those countries to canvass for support. What is important in an election is to canvass for support. If I can't talk to you, how would you know what I think and why you should vote for me? So that is the position of ZANU-PF. Whereas we have the majority, and sometimes they don't even consider that we have the majority. Sometimes we have the majority, but only if the terrain is made even. Then we can amend the constitution to allow for a diaspora vote.